What's the worst Christmas present you have received? My husband's stepmother gave me, a 36-year-old at the time, a kindergarten-size backpack, and when I opened it she said, "I actually bought that for, a child, a few years ago and she hated it, so I threw it in a closet and I saw it and thought you'd like it." None of us did. We all think it's ugly. That same year they gave my 3 kids gifts totaling altogether $15 with the clearance stickers on them, while her biological granddaughter opened a $300 unicorn, which they made sure we knew cost $300. And then they pointed out to everyone our clearance stickers and what great deals they were. They weren't. And then they made my kids leave the room so the granddaughter could take pics alone with her unicorn. It was the last Christmas we visited them. LOL. I had grandparents like that. My dad adopted me, and his parents adopted him. I'd get a $20 book and then they'd tell me about all the wonderful gifts they'd gotten their real grandchildren. They were the only paternal grandparents I'd ever known. I was 3 when I met them. When I was 12 I bought myself a Kindle. Me and my sister spent an entire summer working for our grandpa and stepdad to save up for them, each of us spending about $200. My mom got all 3 of my brothers a Kindle for Christmas and I got some clothes from Old Navy. I was livid, and when I talked to my mom about it she told me that my sister and I had been excluding our brothers from hanging out while we played video games and it was unfair. She never apologized or saw anything wrong with what she did, and I honestly still haven't forgiven her almost a decade later. My mum is notorious for bad presents. I've had such delights as toothpaste and vitamin pills wrapped up for me at Christmas, but one that stands out was a car crash kit. It had a disposable camera for recording the scene, a form for both parties to fill out, a tape measure for measuring, I dunno stuff, and some chalk for what I assume was for marking out where the dead bodies landed, or something, I dunno. When the Tamagotchi craze was in full swing my siblings and I asked for one. My sisters both got one, and I got a jacket because mine was torn up and small. When I asked my dad why I didn't get one and if Santa thought I did something bad that year, he told me I was too old for Santa and needed to learn life isn't fair. I was 8, my sisters were 7 and 5. From that point forward I only ever received clothing. Needed to learn life isn't fair. The real gift was your dad outing himself as a colossal butthole, so you'd never wonder if you were part of the problem. The time I was really into Green Day and the emerging alternative music of the mid-90s, and my mom bought me a few CDs, back when CDs were something stupid like $20 each. Bro, awesome gift. Except the CDs were Toni Braxton and Mariah Carey and something else I've completely forgotten. Or the Christmases when my brother would get a pile of presents or something pretty expensive. Football table, air hockey table, etc. And I'd get a couple books and lip gloss. I love those things, so the gifts themselves weren't bad, but I was clearly not the favored child. In the aftermath of gift opening, mom would look at the pile my brother got and the few gifts I got, then make a big show of stomping around the house claiming she knows she got more for me. She must have misplaced all the other gifts. Without fail, for several years in a row, she misplaced my gifts, because she realized in the moment that she spent way more on my brother than me. Never once did she find these misplaced gifts, and to make it worse, my birthday is shortly after Christmas, so I never got much for my birthday because the budget was blown on Christmas. My brother claims he remembers me getting crappy birthday gifts and I was always jealous of his. I don't have any memory of that, but it very well could be. The worst birthday was the year I only got a Bible with my name stamped on the front in gold lettering. That's a birthday I remember quite clearly. Oof, it always sucks when you realize there's a favorite. For me, it was the year my younger sister got a computer for her birthday. Then my mom wasn't even home for my birthday because she took my little sister away for the weekend and my dad forgot mine. Then they wonder why I'm so different from them as an adult. Looking back, it wasn't a bad present, but when I got a pair of pants for Christmas when I was 6, I started crying and screamed out, "You're supposed to get me these anyways." Okay, this one made me burst out laughing. That's so sad. Poor 6-year-old you. So I was dating a guy for a few months when Christmas rolled around. He had recently started a new job that required travel, and this was before smartphones and built-in GPS in your car were common. So I splurged a bit and got him a Garmin to help him find his way. Thoughtful, useful, but not too sentimental. It felt perfect for where the relationship was at the time. Due to schedules, we couldn't get together until a few days after Christmas. In my haste to go see him, I walked right out the door without his gift. I didn't realize it until I got to his house and I felt terrible, but he said, "No worries, I'll give you your gifts now and I'll just get mine later." Cool. So he goes into the other room and comes back with 2 wrapped gifts. I noticed some of the paper was messed up, like it had been rewrapped, but didn't think much of it in the moment. I carefully unwrapped the first package. It was a MMA magazine that had clearly been read. I was confused. I do not like MMA, not even a little bit, nor have I ever expressed interest in MMA, not once. He, on the other hand, loved all things MMA. Trying to move on, I politely thanked him, set the magazine down, and refocused on the next gift. I could tell it was a DVD from the shape of the package. And indeed, it was a DVD, a Forrest Gump DVD, with the cellophane wrapper missing. Now don't get me wrong, Forrest Gump is a solid choice, except I already owned a Forrest Gump DVD, and now here I was suddenly the proud owner of a second copy that appeared used. I again thanked him and sat there quietly, trying to wrap my head around how he could have arrived at the conclusion that a used magazine on a topic I didn't like and a second-hand DVD of something I already owned would make for good Christmas gifts. He also got a little quiet, then sheepishly volunteered, I got bored, so I watched the movie yesterday. I just stared. And then I hadn't seen that issue yet, so I went ahead and read through it. I think you'll really like it, I slowly responded. So, you got me a magazine because you wanted to read it and then watched the movie you got for me because you were bored? His only response was, "Well yeah, I guess so." I left not long after. The next day, I returned the Garmin for a full refund. About a week later, he called and said he didn't think it was working out. "No problem," I said, "I don't think it's working out either." As we were wrapping up the call, expressing well wishes and all that, he paused for a beat and said, "Hey, were you still going to give me that Christmas present? TLDR, MMA magazine that had been read in a used Forrest Gump DVD. I am so glad you got that full refund." Nothing. And not because I'm ungrateful or anything. We went to my dad's side of the family for Christmas like we had done every year for 17 previous years, and because I had turned 18 a few months prior, everyone decided I didn't get a gift from anyone. And I still don't understand why. Every other one of my cousins older or younger than 18 got something from someone, and I just sat there awkwardly. My parents had brought presents for all of my cousins, and those weren't the only gifts they got, and I just simply got nothing. It's not like nobody knew we were coming or anything either. I never will understand it, and everyone acted like nothing was wrong. When I was 10 years old, my grandparents gave me an unwrapped suitcase for Christmas. In the interests of convenience, they used that suitcase for the wrap presents for my sisters. Since my dad isn't on Reddit, I will share his story for him. When he was young, he was heck bent on becoming a drummer. He would make full drum kits out of my grandmother's pots and pans and whatever he could find. Very detailed setups. After months and months of building drum sets and drumming on anything he could find, he woke up Christmas morning to an acoustic guitar and guitar lessons. He told me he took a few lessons and would always end up flipping the guitar over in the class with the other students and just play it like bongos. Reminds me, a few weeks ago I was in a Goodwill and saw a kid in a cart pushed by his mom. There was a nice kid's drum set, you know, like actually drums and all but small, in the cart with him, and the little dude was already jamming away. So happy. Not much else to the story, but I was really depressed that day, and seeing that kid having fun was definitely what I needed. This was actually a recent one. Been with my girlfriend for like 2-3 years now. Her family considers me a part of their family, but my girlfriend's mom and aunt are probably the most hypocritical and bad crap insane people you could ever meet. Aunt believes that if you use a GPS you are a bee that doesn't deserve to live in that state. She proceeded to get everyone lost when she was driving us around on vacation. She lives in Florida for 27 years by that time. The mom is a manipulative narcissist that actually said to my girlfriend and a mutual friend of ours that the only reason she has my girlfriend around is because she is the person that she uses to let her anger out on. That is, yells about nonsensical crap, pushes her, or makes her feel like she is worth nothing 24/7. For Christmas, I went over to my girlfriend's home to celebrate with them before celebrating with my girlfriend to my house. Got a present from the aunt who sent something over. I received a single rubber duck that had the bottom torn out. A note was stuffed in the opening, and on that note was the sentence, "If you are reading this, you killed the birdie," and a painted rock that was just painted black with the words "Best Buds" on it. The mom was the worst one though. I got a nutcracker. I didn't fully understand it at the time, but I finally got it when my girlfriend's dad took me aside and said in a hushed tone, "I'm sorry for the gift, but Trey has given that to eldest daughter's boyfriends as a threat." That's right. I got a broken rubber duck that blamed me for killing it, a painted rock, and a threat that if I did anything to hurt my girlfriend, more than what the mom already does, that or her mother will use the nutcracker. Batshit is an understatement for those women. A set of miniature butter knives with ceramic fruit and vegetables as the handles. From an aunt who said that I was so hard to shop for. I was 7. A comic book that was laying around the house for several months which I read twice in this period. I didn't know it was supposed to be my surprise present. Here, but take this. A comic book. Yes. My mom asked what my 13-year-old daughter wanted for Christmas and I said, she likes to sew. How this led to our entire extended family buying her nothing but yarn I do not know. That was 2 years ago and there's still so much yarn. What makes this hilarious is that it didn't say she likes to knit. They heard sew and somehow made the jump to yarn. I participated in a voluntary office Christmas exchange in 2012 with a $30 limit. My gift was a CDR of the giver's favorite album. I was less than enthused, but nonetheless slid the disc into my car to check it out only to find out that it was blank. The person had written the band name album title on the disc, but forgot to actually burn a copy. I bought my professor a $50 gift card when I graduated. Years later she confesses she tried to use it but it was empty. I definitely paid for it and a 6.95 activation fee but she said she never wanted to tell me BC I would be bummed. I felt terrible. Not one I got, one I didn't get. My mom crocheted my 2 sisters' tablecloths and gave it to them in front of me. I just stood there, trying not to cry. I've been there. My sister-in-law made quilts for all the other women in the family but not for me because I don't have children. They weren't child-themed quilts nor given as shower gifts but she feels the need to reward people for breeding, I guess. We couldn't have kids and she knew that. I hope she rots. Titanic DVD, pirated copy. Already seen it before twice. Didn't have a case, just had Titanic written in marker pen. It didn't belong to the person who gifted it. The DVD was scratched and didn't even play. Wow, this is bad. When I was 8 or 9, my grandma gave me a Christmas ornament. It was a little stuffed cherub with pink cheeks and yarn hair. I cried because I had saved up my allowance to buy it for her the year before. That's cruel as heck. Not Christmas, sorry, but my 18th birthday, you know, coming of age and all that. I remember my brother and sisters all having a really nice 18th birthday. My family always threw quite the party for them but yeah, not for me. I don't really know what triggered it but I was always sort of in charge of my own birthday. I still remember one year my parents straight up forgot it and gave me a $50 check as an apology like literally 6 months after the fact. But yeah, my 18th birthday, my parents had just returned from an expensive 1.5 month vacation. Literally the day before my birthday, so I was kind of like giddy with anticipation thinking they'd returned on my birthday on purpose because they didn't want to miss it. Nah, I waited till noon to mention it, and my mother just suddenly tries to act all cheery and gives me a plain bag with just beans inside. Just beans. Not ready to eat or anything like that. I mean it was just something she picked up on her vacation because she wanted to make a meal with these beans when she got back. I didn't express my disappointment, but it was probably felt. As a consolation, she tried to invite me to lunch, something I kind of proposed anyway as a last-ditch effort to save my birthday for myself. I kind of realized this wasn't going to be a good birthday at that point already. Get to the fast food place, and my mom organized for my sister to meet us there for food. After sitting down with food, my mom and sister just start talking about themselves and my parents' vacation. I'm sitting there, kind of just devastated, eat my food as fast as freaking possible, and without a word just get up and leave. I walk the 2-mile trip to my at the time best friend's house, just freaking locked in my own head about how I was hoping something would redeem my family by my 18th birthday. On the way, completely by accident, 2 of my other friends also just happened to be on their way to my best friend's house. They were driving by and recognized me on the sidewalk, pulled over and picked me up. I sat down in the back seat, and my friend in the forward passenger seat turns around and hands me a styrofoam plate with a slice of cake on it. I freaking bawled. Man. I cried like a little girl. It wasn't even a cake I liked, but the fact that I just happened to be more of a thought in my friends' heads at the time than my own family. I ate every bite of that cake and freaking made myself love it. Still makes me cry every time I think about it. Eons ago I worked for a company owned by the richest man in Minnesota. One year, all of us punes, and there were a couple thousand of us, got a copy of his book. It was all about how he became the richest man in Minnesota. Cheap bastard. And he also violated the Minnesota code, no bragging. Last year my dad promised me a whole bunch of steaks at Christmas whenever I bought a deep freezer to store them in. I bought a deep freezer immediately, then in April of this year he gave me the steaks, which were packaged in March of 2018. The only taste left was freezer burn. Dang. One year I got what was actually a super cool present. My parents had worked for months putting together this awesome art kit. It was a big toolbox filled with good scissors, glue, paint, colored pencils, glitter, and every other thing a crafty little kid could want. The problem was, every time they would go upstairs to add to it, they had a running joke where they would say we're going upstairs to feed your present or we need to take your present for a walk ttt. So of course on Christmas morning, instead of being a little kid who was stoked to get a huge box of art supplies, I was a little kid who was devastated that I didn't get a puppy. My great grandma gave my cousin a jock strap from Goodwill. Her mental health was bad at this time, 1992ish. He started crying. He was 9. I wouldn't even have posted mine if I'd read this first. No contest. My sister's father. I wanted Pokemon Sapphire or Ruby so bad for Christmas, it was the only thing I asked for. A few days before Christmas he came home with a GBA cartridge wrapped in wrapping paper and set it on one of the Christmas tree branches. He said you can't open it until Christmas excitedly, so my 3rd grade brain assumed he had gotten what I asked for. Christmas Day comes and I open it immediately to see Ice Age 2. The meltdown staring at me. It was the first time I faked liking a present. Ice Age 2. The letdown. Every year my aunt gives our family thrift Santa gifts, like a bunch, from thrift stores. The thing is, nothing relates to anything. The worst I've gotten are among a Kama Sutra book when I was 13/14. Awkward. And a New York Yankees baby Onishi. I don't have kids. I don't watch baseball. No, see, those go together. You use the Kama Sutra to make the baby, and now you don't have to buy clothes for it. I'm curious to see what future gifts are. One time when I was 10, my mum gave me and my brother a packet of plastic rainbow bendy straws each for Christmas. She was mad at our dad for having brought us back 3 days late from his part of the holidays and took it out on us. Being a contrary soul, I happily took my brother's discarded pack and proceeded to make a million rainbow flutes that I would incessantly try to learn to play for the next 2 months. I suspect she lived to regret her choice, since I also never cleaned any of my discarded flutes up. Well, she sounds lovely, lol. An ex gave me an engagement ring for herself, on the idea that I would use it to propose to her. She also gave specific instructions on how and when I should do it, as well as stipulations that she would be the one planning our wedding. We had a terrible relationship and I had been planning on breaking up with her right after the holidays, which I did. I couldn't understand how she thought we were even close to being on the same page. And once it was all over, I realized the obvious and what everyone was trying to tell me for 3 years. I was in an abusive relationship. Still, who the heck buys a ring for someone to give back to them? It's just bad gifting. One year I got nothing. Not even a card. Not even from the Secret Santa I participated in at work. That was a difficult Christmas. A Starbucks gift card with a $0 balance and a gallon-sized Ziploc bag of coffee straws. The straws are at least useful. The gift card was just mean. I'm glad I had enough money when I tried to use it though. LOL. So, this happened in our family. Turned out somebody had uncovered the security number and added the gift card to their app. They then put it back with the other gift cards. They waited for somebody to load it and transferred all the money off of it. My grandpa was planning on giving me a tissue box with money in it. Still not sure why. Anyway, he wrapped the wrong box and I opened a box of tissues on Christmas morning. Meanwhile, grandma had been blowing her nose on $5 bills for the past week. Started loving computers at age 7 and 92. ZX Spectrum and then 186. 286 etc. At our local kids club. Kept on going. Learned to code early, was addicted to everything related to them. Grandma called me and told me she had sent money to my parents to buy me a PC. At 11, in 96. I was so excited. All my friends could not wait to see it and play with me. I could not sleep for days on end. Then Christmas Eve came. We do the gifts in the evening. Rushed under the tree and, surprise, I got a mobile electronic organ player. My mom told me it has buttons, right? Just like a computer. She took the money and bought an automatic washing machine. I'm still freaking upset, mom. Thanks everyone for commenting and supporting me. Wanted to clear something out. I am a bit upset only on that particular situation. My family is fantastic. They made sacrifices above and beyond for me. We were almost on the poor side. I love both my parents and I admire them, and I did not want to paint a monster picture of my mom. I love her and respect her like nobody else in my life. I did reply to this question to explain that certain situations that happen during your childhood will have an impact for the rest of your life, even more if they are connected to an event celebrated by many others. I remember it and get a bit sad, but then I remember my childhood and my family and I smile, knowing that I grew up in a positive environment and that they gave up so much for me to grow and allowed me to have my own journey. I tried my best to reply to all the comments. I am dyslexic and sometimes I do not write the words correctly. Apologies for that. I did however notice one fantastic thing. You guys are supportive, each in his own way, and that is wonderful. These days people like you are rare. Thank you, and I do hope that you all have a happy life and that you will be able to learn from others, as I also do, and avoid making some mistakes. Be safe and stay awesome. 2. This is bad. I wholly expected your story to be more like that your grandmother meant well, but only sent you $50, because that's what she thought a PC cost, or something. But your mother misappropriated your money and did so brazenly enough that you found out about it. Sheesh. My dad. His first Christmas divorced and living alone. First time ever shopping for us, clearly on Mayo because my mom did all the shopping before. Got me a nose hair trimmer. I was 12 and definitely did not understand why I got that gift. I got a bunch of combs and a cheap children's chemistry set that I already had 3 of. My brother got some DS games and a Lego Star Destroyer. I was working a dead-end job making less than $1,600 more, and my long-term girlfriend at the time wanted a Tiffany & Company pearl necklace which costs over $1,000. I starved myself for 3 months to save up for that necklace and she was beyond ecstatic to receive it. Her gift to me? She hands me a Starbucks holiday mug with a receipt from 10 minutes prior. I didn't want to get you a gift because being with me should be enough, but I found it in my heart to get you something small for Xmas. A box of top ramen. Just a standard grocery box of ramen bags. It was wrapped up with a nice bow too, and it was not gifted as a joke. My family knew I was having financial troubles and was only eating 1 meal a day. They honestly thought they were helping me out. This one's really insulting because if they really wanted to help they could have gotten you more expensive essentials, but they just gave you what was the cheapest. Worst was from my grandparents. Me, my brother and dad all got a used book each from a charity shop. Like the cover was bent and pages yellowed. My brother and dad have barely read any books in their lives and mine was some adult drama romance novel. I was about 12 at the time, that nobody has ever heard of by some author nobody knows. To top it off, these grandparents were ridiculously wealthy. My granddad was making almost $2 million a year, and their other grandchild got a PS3, which had just came out, and big stack of games to go with it plus other toys and some clothes. Last year my mom bought me a can opener, wrapped it and gave it to me when everyone was gathered around exchanging gifts too so they'd all see and get to share in her laughter. Unfortunately she was the only one who found it funny. Everyone else just thought it was fricked up. I've got friends who are getting a can opener for Christmas. They don't have a lot of money and spend it all trying to keep their kids and sports etc. They get cheap ones that always break. I'm getting a $40 one for them as a thank you for everything they've done for me this year. My extended family used to do this thing where you'd put your name on a piece of paper and put it in a hat, then draw someone out and that's who you'd get a gift for. It was supposed to be anonymous. I got 2 terrible gifts on consecutive years. The first terrible gift was a DVD of Fast and Furious 3. I'd literally never watched even a second of those movies, and I'm pretty sure the franchise was up to like episode 4 or 5 at that point. The very next year, someone got me a cheap pair of fake leather driving gloves. They were about 2 sizes too small. So me, not being a car guy at all, has somehow convinced my uncles and aunts that I'm secretly a Tokyo drift racer or something. The year after that, my mom got my name. You're supposed to put the name back if it's immediate family, but she kept my name knowing I got screwed 2 years running. She got me a Kindle Fire. The very next year, someone got me a cheap pair of fake leather driving gloves. They were about 2 sizes too small. That was so you could get away with murder. I was 8 or 9. I really wanted one of those Furbies who were really popular back in the days. Come Christmas, my aunt is all proud to give me my present, hyping me it's something I really wanted. Then I open it and it's a Plushies Furby keychain. I don't remember much but I was told my face fell when I saw it. Though I was raised to not complain about receiving gifts, so when she asked me you don't like it, I forcefully and badly smiled, reassuring her that yes, I liked it and I was just surprised. I even put it on my jacket zipper to prove my point. Turned out it was a joke and she did get me a real Furby that she gifted me after, but still, the immediate disappointment was something hard to hide. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.